Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. When Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, it always signals the biggest rise in the altcoins price. Anytime Bitcoin enters price discovery, we always see the best performing altcoins end up making 20, 50, and even 100x type of breakouts in one move. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of my favorite charts that look identical to some of the best performing altcoins of the last cycles, and I'm going to be breaking down exactly what this means moving forward, how this next breakout for Bitcoin is going to be the most profitable time for altcoins, and how to be prepared and positioned to capitalize on all of this upside coming in very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. And without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and I am super excited to be breaking this down because I know that by the end of this video, you guys are going to know exactly what to expect moving forward. We're going to be taking a look at some of my best trades over the last 8 years of investing into crypto. We're going to be looking at many of the top performing altcoins from both 2017 as well as 2021, and I'm going to be applying it to what we're seeing today in our current market structure so that we can know exactly how to position ourselves and be prepared to capitalize on all of this new all-time high upside that's going to be setting in very soon. Once Bitcoin gets outside of this all-time high, that's the point where the majority of our profit of our portfolios is going to set in. This is what happens literally every single bull market, and I'm here to tell you guys that all of the charts are lining up in the exact same ways. I've heard the argument where altcoins are still way lower than their all-time highs, Bitcoin is absolutely stealing the show, and everybody's freaking out thinking that there's never going to be an alt season. But the problem is, most people haven't been around for as many cycles as I have to know that this is literally what happens each and every one of our bull markets right before we get that big lift off. We can go and look at many of the top performing altcoins over our cycles, starting over here with Stellar Lumens, and we're going to be able to see exactly how each of these cycles plays out. Now, the reason I'm starting with Stellar Lumens is because this is the one that made me the most money in that 2017 cycle, and what this ended up doing is almost the exact same thing that all of my best performing trades in 2021 ended up following as well. And so I want you guys to be aware of how every single one of these altcoins are going to break out. If you're holding one of the top performing altcoins, this is the exact thing that you need to be watching, because this is going to more or less tell you exactly how to be prepared to take profits, how to be prepared to hold, and what to expect moving forward when Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high. We can come and take a look at Stellar Lumens, and we can actually pull up the Bitcoin chart with it, and I'm going to be able to share with you guys exactly how every single one of these bull markets has played out up to this point. We're going to go all the way back to this 2017 cycle, and we're going to draw a line at the prior all-time high for Bitcoin, and we're going to draw all the way over like that. So when we're looking at Bitcoin made a new all-time high April of 2017. It was right here that Bitcoin made its new all-time high. Notice here how Bitcoin made that 80% correction, and throughout that entire time, Stellar Lumens was also correcting. But Bitcoin started uptrending from August of 2015 all the way until the beginning of 2017. And Stellar Lumens did nothing. It just went sideways. This is what is going to happen every single cycle. The majority of the altcoins are going to do absolutely nothing until the second that Bitcoin finally breaks all-time highs. Because the second that Bitcoin went into that all-time high right here, Stellar Lumens made this absolutely massive breakout. In fact, if we're looking at this based off of an ROI standpoint, you know, you're talking about a 2,400% gain all in that one big move. So you're talking 25x in that one single breakout. Now, this is what's going to happen to all of our favorite altcoins. We can come over here and take a look at Terra Luna from the last cycle. This was also another altcoin that I made a lot of money on in that bull run, even though it ended up collapsing and going to zero. I accumulated Terra Luna all the way down here at 32 cents. Basically right there. And the only reason I bought it was because I heard people talking about it. They said that it was a really solid project. So I just liked the chart. I could see that we were just starting our first little impulse right here, and we were just kind of rounding out. And I thought, you know what? Just to the prior all-time high, this is a pretty good gain. I think I'm going to buy this and hold this. Now, the truth of the matter is this, guys. When we're looking at the prior cycles, it might seem impossible that we're ever going to go back and end up coming all the way into a new all-time high again, especially as some of these have corrected, you know, 92% approximately. Terra Luna, when it was added to exchanges, sold off 92%, went sideways for a couple more months, really 6 months, before it started to do anything. And it was like a 4x type of a move just to the prior all-time highs. Most people look at charts like this and they never assume that one day these markets are going to break out and start getting very, very bullish. But the truth of the matter is, if you're holding any of the top performing altcoins that do end up getting adoption and get a lot of hype generated, these are going to be the ones that end up making absolutely massive breakouts all in their first go. This one was like a 62x in its first breakout. You know, we sold off another 70-80% approximately from that high, 81%, and then we ended up going into another new all-time high from there. If you're holding any of those top performing altcoins, this is what is going to happen the second that Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high. Because once again, we can pull up the Bitcoin chart right here and we can compare the two and see that it was the second that Bitcoin went into that new all-time high that many of these top performing altcoins started to move. And in fact, they weren't really moving until Bitcoin went into that new all-time high. So notice here, Bitcoin makes its all-time high right here. That is literally at the very final moment before this starts actually going into its big move. So all we're waiting for here, no matter what altcoin you're holding, is the best of the best. Terra Luna was pretty much outperforming everything. It didn't do a damn thing until Bitcoin broke out and went into a new all-time high. But then when it did that, it pulled a 62x all in that one big breakout. So when we're comparing all these charts, so many people are looking at Bitcoin today and they're saying to themselves, oh man, this is the worst cycle ever. Bitcoin has done, this great big move all the way to the all-time highs, and altcoins haven't done anything. But truth of the matter is this, most people saying that don't even know what happens in the crypto markets, because altcoins never do anything until Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high. And this is the case for all of the best performing altcoins. If Terra Luna, as well as it did in the last cycle, didn't really even start its breakout until the second that Bitcoin went into a new all-time high, we can also come over here and take a look at Stellar Lumens. The exact same thing happened. Stellar Lumens did nothing but go sideways and down throughout the entirety of its consolidation. But the second that Bitcoin decided to go into a new all-time high, boom, there's a 25x move in that one go. Now, this is going to be the case on all of these altcoins. Even Phantom Network was another one that I made a lot of profit off of in that last cycle. And this one was maybe holding up a little bit better than some of the other ones. But at the end of the day, you know, this thing was pretty much just going up and down and sideways, not really doing a heck of a lot. More or less just consolidating. But once again, the second that Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high, what does this do? It instantly makes this absolutely massive vertical impulse, and that's why we need to be positioned and be prepared. It's not about all of the crap that Bitcoin's going through prior to the all-time high breakout. That is just the buildup before we actually get to the big upside potential in our portfolios. We have to have the patience to be willing to stomach all of the ups and downs and the turmoil before we get into the new all-time high, because once the new all-time high starts, that's really where the profit comes into the cycle. And it's not really until Bitcoin goes into that new all-time high that the profit starts. We have to wait for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's always the leader in the markets. But we can see the same thing. You know, Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high that was literally right here at the bottom of this consolidation before Phantom, you know, ended up doing another 20 or a 40x approximately, depending on where you're drawing it. This one was like a 30x. So all of these altcoins I've shared with you have done the exact same thing. Solana is another example of this. If we come over here and pull up the Bitcoin chart with Solana and go all the way to the beginning of Solana's price, Solana maybe held up better than all of the other ones because it was arguably the best performing altcoin of that cycle. So it makes sense. But if we're looking at this chart once again, Bitcoin makes its new all-time high right here, and that is literally the exact bottom of Solana before it started that absolutely massive breakout and went super, super parabolic into its cycle. This was another one that I bought really early. I bought Solana at 50 cents, or 60 cents, I mean, right down here at the exact bottom. I sold it way too early. Don't get me wrong. I didn't hold all the way up into this. Solana was one of those that I messed up on by selling it too early. But nonetheless, this is something I've learned from, guys. These are my mistakes. I'm sharing with you guys the best performing altcoins of my portfolio because I've learned something by investing into them. You know, going all the way back to that 2017 cycle, this is going to be the same thing that you're going to see all of these altcoins do once again. Altcoins are going to do absolutely nothing. They're going to go sideways and they're going to go down. People are going to write them off, especially as Bitcoin is holding up and is sitting right around those prior all-time highs. Everybody's looking at Bitcoin being the spotlight, the center, and they're looking like altcoins are never going to end up rebounding. The second Bitcoin decides to go into a new all-time high, all of these altcoins that are primed, that have adoption, that have people backing them, they're going to do these vertical type of breakouts. And it's in that vertical breakout that we have the opportunity of being positioned and being prepared to capitalize. Because here's the truth, guys. What Bitcoin has always done, and I'm going to share with you guys the same pattern across all of these same charts, Bitcoin will make its first breakout into a new all-time high. All of those altcoins will also make their big breakouts, and then we'll get our first sell-off. And then that's where all of those altcoins that made that massive move into price discovery for the first time, they end up correcting 70, 80, and even 90+%. Stellar Lumens dropped 88% in that first little correction. So what I've noticed here is we have a great opportunity of compounding our gains. And you don't have to do this, but I really think that it's probably the smartest decision to do so. It's at least what I'm going to be doing with my portfolio. But it only works this way. If you're going to want to compound, you got to take profits on that first breakout. Because here's what's going to happen. If we pull up the chart of Bitcoin, we're going to see over here that it was this first big breakout into new all-time highs and then that second sell-off right here. But when Bitcoin went from $960 all the way to $3,000, and then we made this 40% sell-off right here, it was in that 40% sell-off that the altcoins had their first major pullback after that breakout. And it was Bitcoin making another new all-time high from there before the altcoins really started to pick back up again. And it wasn't until Bitcoin's final rally, going from 3,000 to 20K, that all of these altcoins finish their final move as well. So it's going to be a little bit different each and every cycle, but it's not that far off. If we come over here and take a look at Terra Luna, it pretty much did the same thing, where the second Bitcoin broke out and went into a new all-time high, Terra Luna started doing the same thing. But notice here that even Terra Luna had this big midway cycle sell-off. It made its first breakout into a new all-time high, and then it was once Bitcoin sold off at 65K and we got that correction, that this thing also sold off and it corrected about 81 to 82%. And then it also went into that brand new all-time high after. So every one of these altcoins I'm going to share with you guys have done the same thing. Phantom was another example of this. Went sideways, just kind of trending sideways. The second Bitcoin goes into that new all-time high. Phantom does the same thing. The second Bitcoin pulls back from that 65K top and we have our first true pullback of that breakout. That was where all of these other altcoins did the exact same thing. But here's the thing, guys. What we've always done all of our cycles, even with last cycle, Bitcoin only going back up into a $69,000 top, it didn't really make that big of a breakout into a new all-time high. It technically was one, but nonetheless, it was in that final move that many of these altcoins, the top performing ones, they went into another new all-time high from there. So this is something that, even though the price action can vary, all of these altcoins have followed the same thing. Whether it was a massive blow-off top in 2017 or whether it was this weird double top type scenario, the best performing altcoins all followed the same patterns, both from 2017 as well as 2021. And I have a lot of confidence that they're going to do the same thing once more. So when we're over here looking at Bitcoin today, we see Bitcoin right around these prior all-time highs, getting ready to make that first breakout into price discovery. All we can really look at is each one of the prior cycles. We can look at the best performing altcoins that saw a lot of upside potential when Bitcoin first broke out. And this is the pattern that every single one of these make, where Bitcoin goes into that new all-time high, they all start to follow it. They outperform Bitcoin massively. The second Bitcoin makes its first pullback after going into price discovery, altcoins get absolutely smashed and they make these big midway cycle sell-offs. However, they always end up going for one more final new all-time high after. Some of them are more impulsive than others, obviously. We don't know exactly which ones are going to be the biggest performers, but the ones that have always been the biggest performers always go into a secondary new all-time high, regardless of what happens with Bitcoin's price. So when I'm looking at all of these cycles, pretty much doing the same things all over again, I've got a lot of confidence that we're seeing a lot of the same similarities. I know a lot of people out there are really scared about their portfolios. They're seeing their altcoins doing nothing but going down and going sideways. They're seeing Bitcoin going up. They're seeing maybe some meme coins going up, and it makes them feel like they're just getting priced out entirely. But the truth is, guys, none of the altcoins really do anything until Bitcoin goes into that first move. The second that Bitcoin decides to reverse here and makes that run to 100K, I do think that that's where we're going to see all of these same similarities play out once again, where we get these big breakouts and we have the majority of our bull run for altcoins that play out inside of that 1 year. It's all pretty much the same that I've seen in the prior cycles. The only difference is we're still right down in here at the very bottom before Bitcoin breaks out. We're always waiting for Bitcoin to make that first breakout into price discovery. The second Bitcoin makes that breakout is also the time where we see all of the other altcoins follow it. So guys, I've had the opportunity of making tons of money in the crypto markets. This is now my third cycle. As I'm seeing all of the same similarities play out, I'm playing this market the same way. I'm not really too worried about anything that's going on right down here for my altcoins. I might be down 40, 50, 60+% in an altcoin bag, but it doesn't matter because I know that the second that Bitcoin goes into a new all-time high, if I'm holding any of those top performing altcoins that are going to really get a lot of adoption, they're just going to go vertical, and it's impossible to predict the price at that point. So all we want to do is have our bags ready. The only scenario that we should really look to do is take profits on that first breakout once Bitcoin goes into price discovery. And then once that correction starts, if you want to compound, that's where you're going to want to compound those gains. If you bought any of these altcoins before they made that 20, 30, 50x type of a move into a new all-time high, it's inside of that move that you probably want to take some profits and then look to compound on the dip. Because if you have one of those altcoins that does like a 20 or 30x right out the gate into a new all-time high, chances are those are going to be the ones that end up going into another new all-time high later. And so they're going to be the ones following Bitcoin's price. As Bitcoin goes more parabolic, all of these altcoins that have been getting a lot of adoption are going to do the same thing. The only difference is they're going to outperform Bitcoin on the way up. And so guys, this is the video. I wanted to make sure that you know exactly what to expect, how to play these cycles, because this is exactly what plays out every single one of the bull runs I've been a part of, and I've had the opportunity of making a significant amount of profit in the process. So guys, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. If you want to see anything I'm buying, selling, trading right now as we're in this dip, awaiting this next breakout into new all-time highs, I'm telling you guys, this is the time where you want to be a part of my group, because all of the best trades are going to be made right now before Bitcoin goes into the new all-time high. The second that this market flips, I'm telling you, all of our bags that we've been accumulating are going to start popping off, and it's going to catch people by surprise just how quickly they're going to go up in reverse. So if you want to check it out, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website. With that being said, I love you. I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to when this thing's actually going to send it into a new all-time high. Thank you so much for the support, and with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.